finished doing a live radio show. It was a contest for businesses to see which business had the worst problem. And I went live and did everything in person, did the show. That night, I went and sat down on my couch. I was completely sober, no alcohol, no drugs, anything like that. And all of a sudden, I was thrown in midair in my apartment. Thank God I had a high ceiling.
Yeah.
So I was in midair for about 10 to 15 minutes, and I was scared to death. I couldn't even move my eyes. I felt a huge wind rushing behind me. Out of the corner of my eye, without moving them, I could see a very large, giant book with pages turning very, very quickly, like the wind was turning them, and they were filled with symbols and things I did not understand and could not read. At the same time, I heard a book. And so I was held up in midair for about 10 or 15 minutes. I was probably at least 3 or 4 feet off of my carpet in my living room, and I was just scared to death. I wasn't sure if I was dying. I didn't know what was happening. I remembered that I used to do this technique back in the 1990s where I would try to stand there and turn my vision around with my eyes closed, and I did that. I couldn't think of anything else to do, George. And what I saw was a very long white hand with long fingers, sort of bone white actually, and also a beautiful white robe, and it was pushing what looked like sort of a CD type thing into my back. And that made me feel a little bit better while it was happening, but there was a huge amount of force and pressure on my body at once. I really realized at the time that the CD thing was very symbolic, and it was simply for me to understand that somebody was pushing some kind of knowledge or a file into me, essentially, because after about 15 minutes, I simply screamed, "I've had enough." And something released me, and I fell down on my carpet. I'm really happy I had carpet, George. And I went into my office, and so I put on CNN. I couldn't read a word. I sat there just kind of shaking for about half. And all of a sudden, I felt really, really calm and really, really good. Mm-hmm. And I thought, this is my spirit guides again doing something. And essentially what they had done, I figured it out. What they had done was they had downloaded some kind of giant file folder inside me so that I could use that different subjects that I teach, exorcism and how to clear people, how to teach people how to protect themselves. All that stuff is in there. All that stuff is still in there. That's a positive spirit can do. I don't know if they're going to do it to just anybody, but certainly when I signed up to do this kind of work with higher spirits, that I should have known that there would be a lot of surprises in store for me.
Indeed. Let's go to the calls. Let's go to Denver and Jackson, Mississippi, east of the Rockies. Hi, Denver.
Good evening, gentlemen. I appreciate this opportunity to speak to the world. But Jeffrey, I love what you're doing, but I'm an ordained minister, and I'm also ex-Air Force. And what I do, I pray before I get into any type of gathering where I got to deal with these forces. And I pray for the Holy Spirit to protect me with the anointing, because I've been physically attacked and I've been hurt before I started praying. And when I pray, they can't touch me. And see, Jesus came here for that purpose. I guarantee you, I challenge anybody to pray and ask for Jesus' protection. You will not be attacked.
Well, this is excellent. I mean, that prayer is powerful. Prayer is actually asking for help, and also as exorcist, exorcism is the art of command. And so when you're trying to accomplish something, you are asking prayer for help from higher forces or from Jesus, a very powerful spirit, very powerful. And so that is a good thing to do, and I'm really glad it works for you.
Have you seen it?
I do the same thing. I'm always asking for help from higher spirits in order to help other people, because I can't do this alone.
Have you seen anybody physically hurt by one of these demons?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Yes, I have. I have in person. I work with people all over the world now, so it's a little bit different. A lot of Skype and Zoom kind of things, a lot of picture and telephone things. I can't be everywhere. Getting older now, but the idea is that yes, and demonic spirits hurt people. They can hurt people physically. Negative spirits can hurt people on an emotional level. Sometimes when the wind is right, meaning that there's a lot of emotional energy in the atmosphere of the home or the business or the condominium, whatever it's going to be, that people do get hurt. Even pets sometimes can get hurt on a physical level. People can be shoved and pushed around. And one of the things that I tell ghost hunters, I'm more of a ghost buster, but when I do give talks in front of ghost hunters, I tell them not to provoke spirits. Not to say, hey, pinch me, scratch me, bite me. Don't go into that prison or haunted home and say, hey, prove to me that you're there, which is all these people really want. I do respect their work to a certain extent, but they're not always protecting themselves. They want to prove to themselves that there's something else out there. So it's, pinch me or, push me or do something. But these things can actually wait and follow people home and then attack them. So I do get a lot of reports about people actually being shoved and pushed, sometimes being marked up at night when they're sleeping. That's also very common.
Yeah, I hear a lot about that. Brendan in Austin, Texas. Hey, Brendan, go ahead.
Hey, thank you, George and Jeffrey. Super quick, Neil from Santa Monica that called earlier with the book. I've been messaging the producers for like a year saying, let's get this guy on as a guest. He was super inspirational for me as a kid and has some interesting points about Jesus.
Oh, cool.
But,
okay.
Yeah, definitely he calls in. So next time he calls in, maybe consider that. But, Jeffrey, last night we had Sandra Champlain on, and she said that she had no negative EVP experiences in 26 years. And I thought that was really interesting because if anybody else caught this, there was me and Vaughn who had almost identical calls. We were both getting full conversations that were kind of negative, but I've had angel EVPs and deliverance over EVPs, and my question is that why do you think some people are born with different abilities and others are not? Because Sandra, she'd been in the paranormal investigation for 26 years and never had a negative EVP, and then me and Vaughn, two independent people that I've never met, had negative experiences just serendipitously. And
right.
Real quick before I go, Father Malachi Martin said two things that have always stuck with me. Only some people are born with the ability to exercise or free people from the authority of God. And the second one is some knowledge is so terrible it hurts you to know it.
There's a big difference, Brendan, besides using an EVP machine device. It's not perfected yet, and so different people get different experiences from it. I think that when it comes to something like exorcism, clearing people and working against forces that are negative people who are dead, which are a lot of them, and also, which is just us, and also negative spirits. I do think that's a calling, meaning that you have to want to do that. You have to have some kind of innate talent to do this kind of thing and be willing to actually devote a great amount of time to it. Now, I don't know why this person didn't have any negative experiences. I'm just happy for her that she didn't, but I don't think that's a very fair as far as the spirits that are out there. You have good spirits and you have negative spirits. So it's possible that she's just communicating or getting communication through this device with positive spirits. This is also sort of a form of divination, and divination is not necessarily a bad thing to do, but it has to be done with a lot of protection. I'm happy for her, but it's not reality when it comes to the amount of negative spirits out there. Most spirits are good and some are not. Most people are good and some are not. And so, if we just talk to the good ones, that's great. but that's not what I do. I'm a problem solver. And so my job is to help people that are not feeling okay, whether it's just negative emotional energy or they're under attack by other people that are throwing negative emotional energy at them at work or play, or also negative spirits or demonic spirits which are attacking them. And that's a whole different ball game. And I don't use any kind of devices or divination tools. I believe in the frontal approach, which is essentially using my senses, my mind. Some people might call it their third eye, but it really is just psychic perception to actually find out if these spirits are good or bad and what their intentions are. Good spirits we don't have to worry about, and people don't call me about good spirits, just like they don't go to a doctor and say, hey, I'm feeling fine. They're going to call me and say, Jeffrey, there's something wrong. I get a lot of calls from nurses and doctors and professional people that work around very negative situations, prison guards that that are in negative situations with a lot of negative people that are not feeling good, and they can also be under attack by negative people and also negative spirits.
Jeffrey, can people be so enlightened that they never get bombarded by the negative spirits?
Yes, George, it's really a good point. There are people out there, and there are a lot of them, who have that ability, and that is, I think they have a natural protection system up. I've met a lot of people who have this going for them, and that's really wonderful. They are not bothered by anything, or so they think, and I think that also that's true, that it happens, that they really are not bothered by things that happen around them or spirits that come and communicate with them, because they have their ways of protecting themselves. But it's not the average person, and it's not most people. Most of us need to do something to protect ourselves and strengthen our energy fields, and that is not a religious thing at all, and it's not a belief system. It's actually called non-physical science, and that's the area I practice in.
Let's go to Mayat in New York. Welcome to the show. Hi, Mayat.
Yes, good morning. What an excellent guest. Thank you, Jeffrey. I have a point of clarification regarding repeating your website. Really appreciate your free books and looking forward to one of your webinars, certainly. But I have a two-part question, and I'll listen over the radio on that. First of all, and George, this is also a suggestion for a potential guest, because I recently received, Amazon is kind of brilliant in knowing what books to show up, and the name of the book is called Gray Aliens and Artificial Intelligence: The Battle Between Natural and Synthetic Beings for the Human Soul by Nigel Kerner, Kerner, and his previous book was Gray Aliens and the Harvesting of Souls. So if you're familiar with it, but it certainly seems to affirm the fact that we are truly souls, as Jeffrey truly understands. The second part of my question has to do with something that's affecting me personally. I think it was Saturday, August 26th. I heard a headline, a story that 3 blacks, people who have the status, because it is a status, a social code. It has no biological basis, and we all come from people who would be known as blacks, including their great art and science and ancient Kemet. But when I heard about this, some so-called white supremacists, I call it white imperiosity, who just willingly, and I'm a dentist in a dollar store, and I love as an inventor the Chinese, who are very clever in what they come up with to make things convenient. So I want your thoughts in particular on the outrageous rhetoric, and I point my finger right at DT, Donald Trump, because he opened up this portal as he started calling all Mexicans rapists and criminals and drug dealers, and Al. And so his SO mouth and the Republicans seem to march right along in spite of 4 indictments, which is a book coming out on the 26th. Everyone needs to read that, including what happened to 2 black women who the so-called former mayor of New York City who caused the riot against a black mayor with the police, and on and on. So I want to know, and also George had on, I can't say his name right now, but the brother who wrote the book, The Coming Ascension Wave. So that's on a more positive tip. But I want to know what we can do both individually and collectively to change this climate, because some of us are moving away from even wanting to be in the country. And if you have my concerns, and thank you, George, for someone who's so on point. I'll listen over the radio. Thank you.
All right, take that part.
Hatred is awful. Hatred of the innocent is an awful thing. Prejudice is an awful thing, and prejudice is learned behavior. We're not born with it. A terrible thing. And what we can do about it is to change ourselves, essentially, so we're not participating in it. This is the answer, that we each have to take responsibility for what we say, what we feel, because our thoughts have a charge to it. And so if each person would take a little bit more of an introspective look at themselves, I think this would be a better world. Right now, there's a lot of awful things happening I don't agree with. And it's happening to so many people. When in regards to the alien, I think that the grays, I hear a lot about this kind of thing. My feeling is that there's a lot of different kinds of aliens out there in our universe, and they're not all grays. They're not all one color or one shape or one size. And so I think the universe is full of different kinds of beings that we have yet to meet. And I think that they are contacting individuals, probably not our government, but probably our governments, but probably individuals. I can't stress strongly enough, how the importance of us beginning to take, not constrict, but take control of our thoughts. Each one of us needs to say, hey, before I say something, before I even think something, let me roll this around in my head a little bit.
It's critical to do that, Jeffrey. We're going to come back and take final calls in a moment. And welcome back, George Noory, Jeffrey Seelman with us. We are back with our final segment here. Jeffrey, are you particularly spiritual?
Yes, I believe in God. I always have. I think that there is such a thing as creation. I think there's such a thing as evolution. So this happening to me. It's not every in some niche. It's not every in some that negative spirits and people are spirits. So this could also include just things they hear from people, getting them to do things that they would not normally do, getting them to do things that they would not normally do, that they might be sorry about later and might not be sorry about later. But I think that we have an epidemic. We have an epidemic, as you know, of work-related shootings. There's a lot of reasons these things. Think that behind it is a push by negativity itself. Negative feelings, negative thoughts, negative spirits, negative people, all of it. And so it all contributes to some of this happening. Certainly, probably every event that is, these shootings, these mass shootings are talking about, is negative energy involved. It doesn't have to happen. People can get help. They can, talk to somebody like me or some mental health professional as well, or both, and learn how to control themselves. And some of these people probably shouldn't be on the internet until they're better, or maybe not at all. But yes, certainly that some of these people are being thoughts from other people and also spirits.
It's amazing how that all happens, too.
Yeah, too quick.
Let's go next to whose turn? Jeannie in Texas.
Guys, such a great talk. Thank you, Jeffrey, for doing the work that you're doing. When I was 8 years old, my mother passed away of cancer. But back in the 70s, no one really talked about really death in my family. I come from a traditional Mexican family, but also I just think in general America is kind of death denying, but they know how to talk to us kids, and I just thought my mom abandoned me. So I was really angry, and so it led all the way up to, you know, my early 20s. I finally got into the music industry, and I felt like it saved me from myself, if you will, you know, getting to put all that anger into my anger. But then I also activism way early. I've been in activism about 20 years, animal community, political. And Jeffrey, do you think that, like I do sometimes, even one woman protest because of just egregious things that I feel that, you know, I'm trying to bring attention to, but and there is a certain amount of anger that's going to happen when you are, you know, getting the guts to get up there, especially doing a one-woman protest. But do you think that that's, I guess, what's your opinion about that, as far as it being, because you were talking earlier about the anger, and I'm really connected with that, but, you know, like I'm getting ready to do a one-woman protest, and I can't talk about against whom, but it was a very egregious thing they did, and now I'm going to, I can't believe they're giving him the platform, and I'm not about canceling people, I'm really not. I just think this person, since it was sexual in nature, I was also sexually abused, I don't understand why they give someone that kind of platform. Anyway, I'll get off the phone and listen, okay? Thank you so much.
It's natural for us to be angry sometimes. It's human nature. It's okay. It's when it becomes out of control and we start doing things, including self-destructive things or things that are harmful for other people, that's when there is a problem. And so you had mentioned music, and I want to say something that's very important here, that negative spirits, which means people who, like us, that have passed on and continue to do negative things, which are a small percentage of all the spirits out there. We're just talking about negative spirits. This also pertains to demonic spirits. They hate happiness. Your happiness is their destruction. Now, you can kill a spirit, but you can make them go away. And things like music are very important. Positive sounds, positive lights. And it really doesn't matter what kind of music it is, as long as it's not some kind of destructive music that says, you know, hurt people or kill people or something. But any kind of music, we all like different kinds of music. It's something I actually wrote in Bad Spirits on the Internet, which is an essay. And so how to go about pushing these things away on a daily basis. Music is very important, so it's important to listen to your favorite music. Also using lights. A lot of different ways that I teach people how to protect themselves and how to maintain their clarity of their home, living environment, things like that, the personal space. But I also want to say that, you know, it's okay to be angry. It's okay. If you're an activist, it's a normal person as well. We're all going to get angry. We just can't let our anger get out of control.
Let's go to Mark in Roseville, California, west of the Rockies. Hey, Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, George, good evening. And Jeffrey, everything Jeffrey has said tonight on your show is absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
I did a compass reading when the sun did a 180-degree pole shift and how it affected the Earth's magnetic field, the positive and the negative side of it. And I came up with Sinwise.
What is that? What is that, Mark?
Sinwise, SINWISE. I looked it up, And there's no definition of the word sin wise. It's separate. You'll only find sin and then wise, but it won't give you a definition of sin wise.
Well, I guess, the concept is that, sin would be doing something that we're not supposed to be doing. And I think that, most people have an internal compass where they look at it, okay, this is not right for me to do, this is not right for me to say. And we have to gain control of our own thoughts. Now, I said before, not in a constrictive way, meaning that it's some kind of tension or stress or anything like that. This is just about, thinking about what we're going to feel, what we're going to say, what we're going to do before we do it, so we don't do something rash. That's what's really important here. So the concept of sin, is kind of like a self-regulating type system that we look at. It might be something we learn from one of our religious texts. It might be something we're taught by our parents, or something we learn through another book or people or ideas, or on our own. But the idea is that we don't fall prey to really, really bad ideas of self-harm and harming other people. And we all have, we can all agree on ethics. Essentially, don't steal, don't kill, and there's a lot more. But we need to agree on these kinds of things on a practical level as well, that we cannot do these things to other people, because we are doing these things. Not everybody, but too many people are doing these things. And so the concept of sin is actually a good one. It's a self-regulating concept that means, I should not do this, or I should not say this, because this is going to have a negative effect and not a positive one. It's not being assertive, it's being negative.
Let's go to John in Kansas City on the Missouri side. Hey, John, go ahead.
Your section, my call.
Sure.
Jeffrey, I agree with you too, times 20. I mean, everything you say, in my experience goes back to as a young kid at 6 years old in 1960, that I was exposed to evil in such a manner that it involved a Franciscan priest exorcism. What I wanted to ask you is if everything I was told that you can confirm, and it goes like this, that ever since we got thrown out of the Garden of Eden, that we were exposed to death and evil that's been around. And one of the things Jesus did consistently in the New Testament was cast out demons. And if that doesn't give you an example, now in the Catholic Church, which I am, a practicing Catholic, we believe in, besides rituals, we believe in staying in a state of grace, going to the sacraments, communion, confession, and their tools like green and brown scapulars, rosary,
crucifixes.
Yeah, the crucifix. 600 Jews call the rosary the weapon against evil, and holy water, and just staying, being a good person, not a virtuous person, not being consumed by any kind of evil. And do you agree with all that?
Well, yes, and you're correct. Jesus did cast out evil spirits. That's one of the things that this incredible spirit did. And also, it's very well practiced in the Catholic religion and all sorts of different religions, and in some cases, no religion. I myself don't belong to any particular religion because I choose to walk between the religions so I can help everybody. And so it is out there, and there is ritualistic formula for getting rid of negative spirits. Exorcism is the art of command, meaning that you have to be able to command a negative spirit to leave, to know how to do it, and know when it's done. Also, command works also with my different things that I teach, because we're shaping energy. I teach people how to shape energy into different tools, into different protection systems that are not fantasy and science fiction and make-believe, but actual, real, non-physical energies that have an effect upon negative spirits and also negative people without harming them. This is about protection, not about about attacking people or attacking, attacking spirits is one thing, but attacking people is not necessary because most people don't know that they're doing this. They think that maybe that they're doing the right thing or their thoughts are harmless or their actions are harmless. That's why I say self-defense is really the best offense when it comes to people. When it comes to spirits, that is a matter of exorcism.
Go to Jeffrey's website, which is linked up at coasttocoastam.com. Send him an email and ask for Bad Spirits on the Internet, the essay, and his book, Moving Energy. Thank you, Jeffrey. Keep in touch. For Dan Galante, Donna Walker in for Tom Danheiser, Lisa Lyon, Lex Lone Hood, Sean Ladisor, Stephanie Smith, Chris Boros, Tim Banal, George Knapp, and Ian Punnett. I'm George Norrie, somewhere out there on Coast to Coast AM. We'll see you on our next edition. Until then, be safe, everyone. And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie back with Katie Beecher. Katie, how do you receive your psychic information?
I receive it in all ways possible. So when I first started, it was more like body feelings and then kind of just knowing things in my head. And the longer that I have done this, so I really recommend that people explore their abilities and take classes and you can do a lot of work at home too on your own. But I am able to feel things in my body, so physical things. I often see scenes or pictures of people or settings in my head. I hear voices in my head. Sometimes I'm able to see spirits of things if they're in the room. I sometimes smell things, like, tobacco smoke or something like that, or mold or stuff like that. I think all the ways that I could possibly think of, I'm pretty lucky.
What do you think you're tapping into? What is out there?
I guess I'm trying to understand that myself, and I definitely believe that my guides, some of my guides are, relatives, like my grandmother and my mom. I think that there's a universal energy field, quantum physics, you can look at it as collective genetics, and also, God, like it's a universal kind of...
Come to you like telepathy?
Yeah. I definitely do pick up on other people's...
And he apparently encounter was he doesn't like to talk about it too much, but it had
planet.
Right.
So no one who has identified themselves as an alien that I'm aware of, but who knows? Right. So I gotta look at the whole body, emotional, and spiritual. If my guides tell me maybe about different exercises that people can do, maybe for tight hip flexors or sciatica or things like that, I'll bring up those exercises. I talk about possibly some helpful herbs, although everything has side effects. So, you do have to be careful whatever you put into your body. And I'm not a huge fan of treating, because I think sometimes we can go too far and without guidance from a professional, that can be a little tricky. But I do pick up things about certain herbs that can be helpful, hormones, for sure, things like nutritional supplements, again, recommend people check with their doctors and things, and a lot of, like different or illness or loss, a lot of around kind of not in our body, between this world and the other world. And that's a normal state. It's a healthy, coping mechanism. But if we're over there all the time and not then hear the signals from your body, what you need to do. You can't be present. You can't be grounded. So we work on that sort of thing, and also really practical things. Like I like people to leave my readings with practical